She's Always Hungry by Eliza Clark. Was she? Let's discuss. So, this was my introduction to Eliza Clark and her writing. I think that was a mistake. I probably should have started with boy parts or like a full length novel, only because short story anthologies, it's very much its own thing. It's quite separate to like full length novels, and I think each writer approaches it differently. I came out of this not really knowing Eliza Clark, the author, very well. And I think had I gone into something like Boy Parts or Penance, I would have had a better introduction. But I still have some stuff to talk about. So it's 11 stories. The theme is hunger. Hunger in the abstract sense, like some of these are about food, but a lot of them it's more like a sense of longing, whether it be ambition, lust, gluttony. It explores the theme in lots of different nuances, which I appreciated. Like the anthology has a lot of breadth, but you can still see how each one relates to the core theme, which I do like. The biggest gripe for me was that some of these stories, the subject material is very serious, and I appreciated that there's like trigger warnings, there's like a content warning at the front of the book and then explanation at the back of the book about what to look out for, which I thought was very mindful. But I thought some of the stories, particularly the ones at the start, they felt reductive because they tackled these serious issues, but only for a handful of pages. Like some of the shortest stories in this collection have the most upsetting themes, and I wish more time had just been taken to get into the actual details of those stories. I mean, that would have been more traumatic, of course, but at least it would have felt like they had been done justice, whereas some of these felt a bit half formed. Our first two stories are prime examples of this because our very first one, Build a Body Like Mine, it tackles eating disorders, but it's only 13 pages long. So when you get to the end of it, it feels a bit like you're jumping off a cliff without really getting into the meat of what we're talking about. And it's the same with the second one, The Problem Solver. The theme is SA, which is very serious, very challenging, very devastating, of course. 8 pages long. Really? I don't know. Maybe like narrow down the quantity of stories just so that we can improve the quality overall. Like some of them, I don't think we needed 11 stories. If you break it down to like 5 or 6 and give them each a longer, so you can really sort of marinate in them and appreciate the pacing, I would have preferred that. I did, however, think that this writer has a real knack for promiscuity. Like all of the stories that dealt with like sexual desire and the sort of more like wanton lust, I thought that was really handled really well, and I'd be interested to read something from Eliza Clark where those are more prominent ideas, because she seemed to really deliver those quite well. If you see me talk about previous short story collections, you know that what I usually do is rank every story from worst to best. There's only 11 here, so I think I'm just going to put on the screen my ranking of them, and I'm going to talk about my top 3, the ones that really stood out to me. So in third place, I have Goth Girlfriend, which is about these like people working at a bar, and this guy has like this crush on this goth girl that he works with, but she doesn't want anything to do with him. She keeps like putting him down, but then he gets like this weird fixation on being put down. It sort of stumbles into like a humiliation kink, and it was explored in a very thoughtful way, which is probably why I got that takeaway that I think she writes promiscuity really well. Like you could sort of see the fetish developing in this guy's mind, and it was fascinating. In second place, I have got Extinction Event. This was like Eliza Clark becomes Jeff Vandermeer for a story. It's like a biological cautionary tale against climate change with like some eldritch Lovecraftian horror. Like they discover these plants that can get rid of all the waste in the ocean by eating all of the microplastics, but then that causes this like wasting disease in the plants, but then they're also not quite plants. They seem to exhibit like feelings, and they can like suffer pain. So there's this big moral dilemma where the scientists don't want them to be used because they don't want them to suffer, but then the big corporation is like, we have to save the planet. That could have been a whole novel. It was one of the more creative ones for sure. But my absolute favorite in the collection, and it had to be this one. I have a personal connection to the story. Shake Well, the story about a girl who just wants clear skin. Let me tell you something. Okay, I had the most horrendous acne in my teenage years. I was put on Roaccutane for the longest time. There was a point in my life where like the quality of my skin was my whole world, you know, like you could just look in the mirror and it would ruin your day. So I was feeling this story, this main character's anxiety, their low self-esteem, that like hunger to do anything to improve your face. Oh, my mic. What I'm trying to say is it really spoke to me because I've been that girl, and yeah, I thought it was really well written. There's like a supernatural quality to it as well that's I thought was quite successful. Yeah, I loved that one. Shake Well, that was my fave. But that was She's Always Hungry. A fairly mixed bag. I rated it as a 3.5 stars. I would recommend, I think, but compared to her other books, like I've not even read her other two books I think she has, but I get the sense that they're much better than this one because she has that style of writing that I would like to see concentrated into a more like fully realized concept compared to like a smattering in an anthology, which is not to take anything away from this, but it makes me excited for the other two.